I've been trying it all behind the scenes, and now it is time to talk about the new makeup and let you guys know my thoughts. Unfortunately, I thought there were gonna be more hits, more true loves, but I feel like I've been getting a lot of like mehs and misses, and like this is gonna be a pretty big review wrap up, so strap in. And I also thought I would let you guys know kind of a rating system. I don't know, I thought it would be fun, and I also thought it would give you guys a way to kind of know where these rank. It's a 5-star system, it's nothing fancy, okay? I didn't reinvent the wheel here, but with 5 stars, that is a true love. This is something that I'm taking with me on trips. It's made it into the history books of my makeup, you know, like a true love. It's gonna be an obsession, and you're gonna be hearing about it for a very long time. A 4-star is a like. It could be a really strong like, but to me, these products are timely. Maybe it's a new release that I think is great. I do like it, but only time will tell if it will really stay in my collection, stay a love. A 3 is a solid product. Maybe there's pros and cons. I definitely think it would work well for certain people, maybe not exactly my skin type or my favorite color, but I would recommend it to someone if they had specific needs or were looking for a product. 2 stars is not for me, and that's in a way that maybe there's more cons than pros to the product, and I'm really not into it. Probably wouldn't necessarily recommend it, you know what I mean? Like, I have a lot of other things I like over that, and 1 star is kind of trash to me. Like, did someone test this? Did we really think this was a good idea? That's the ranking system I came up with, so hopefully it'll help you guys know how I feel about these products, but let's get into it. There have been so many lip liner launches, which I'm not mad about. I love them, but I want to talk about the Rhode ones first. I was excited for these, although they are in a twist up, which usually I like a wooden pencil, so I was a little skeptical, but I wanted to try them nonetheless. I think the color range was really pretty. Definitely a lot of great neutrals across the board there. And to talk about packaging really fast, they're a little bit thicker than I thought they were going to be, so there's that. I feel like everything's a little thicker when it comes to the Rhode products. There's also this silicone angled tip that's supposed to, I think, like help shape, or I don't really know. I don't think that's doing what it really should be doing. I don't get it. As for the ones I picked up, I got the shade Lunge, Bend, Lift, and Twist. I do really like the colors. Some of them are a little more similar, but those slight differences can make a difference in your skin tone and all of that. As for actual formula, these are a thicker lip liner, so they aren't like your classic pencil, even in a twist up. And so I had a little bit of hope these would be like the Refi Lip Blur lip liners that you guys know I love. Those are a 5-star product for me. I absolutely love them. And so I was holding out a little bit of hope that it would be like this, but I find these to be quite creamy, way more creamy than the Refi lip blurs. Those are more like a harder, almost like silicone kind of feel, and they give a beautiful blurred look. These feel like a mix of that formula and something more like the e.l.f. lip liners, if you've ever tried those. I know a lot of people like them, and I haven't really talked about them on the channel, but I'm not a huge fan. They're just a little too creamy for me. I want a lip liner that's a little more stiff. I don't want it to tug necessarily at my lips, but I do want more of a defined look overall, or a little bit more control with the product. And because these are so creamy, I just find I get kind of a sloppy, a little bit of a messier look than I'm intending every single time. I have natural lips. I haven't had any lip filler. No hate to lip filler at all. Just letting you guys know kind of what the situation is for me. And I dabble with overlining my lips. It can get a little out of hand fast. And I find with these especially, I just have to be so careful. And I just have so many other lip liners that do what I want, or I have the Refi lip blurs if I want something more like that. So these just don't really have a place for me. And I think there's this part of me that's like, it could have been so good. I feel like a wooden pencil lip liner would have been such a hit and so amazing. And it was honestly what I was expecting. These are creamy, and in that way I can see how they kind of fit into the blush range and the glazed donut and all of that. But I don't know, not the definition I'm looking for in a lip liner. This feels almost more like a lipstick, to be honest. And for me, they get a 2 just because I just don't think I'm gonna reach for them, even if I do like the colors. Lift is a beautiful, like almost cooler pink. I really do, again, love the colors, but that formula is just harder for me to use. And this one's a miss for me. And it's also kind of a weird combo to me to pair with the actual like lip gloss that she has, because these are so creamy. I want something, again, that's gonna like stay in line, and then I can put a gloss on top. These just kind of all mixed together, and it's like one product. I do have some lip liner loves though. I first want to talk about these Lisa Eldridge ones. These are these Sculpt and Shape lip liners. I got these when I got the Pinpoint concealer, which we will get into, but I thought I would pick these up. They were on my radar for a while. This one's 1N, this one's 0N, and I really not only love the formula of these because they kind of are that perfect mix for me. They are a little bit stiffer, but they still have glide to them. They lock down in a way that doesn't feel like you're suffocating your lips or really getting into a situation where they're gonna stick together and start just getting almost gummy. I feel like some lip liners, especially if you kind of fill in more of your lip than just the outer rim, can get a little weird. These have an amazing formula, so I love that about them. They're a wooden pencil, but 1N has really come through. I have loved this, and it took a second. When I first got it, and even when I was looking at pictures of it on the models, I was like, I like that color, but it feels a little bold for me. And I will say this gives me a more defined lip. It really does emphasize the shape of my lips, and the color can feel a little bit done up for me for every day. But I find once it's on and I kind of like see it with the whole face, it looks so good. It looks amazing in videos and in photos as well, because it really does sculpt the lips. And it's what I'm wearing right now. And I've been wearing this in a lot of videos lately just because it's such an easy one and done lip product. I also like pairing it with a gloss as well, or even like a lip stain. Sometimes that looks really good just to use this on the edge and kind of give that sculpted look. I really, really love it. So obsessed with 1N. I do like the 0N too. Again, formula is great if this color works for you, but the 1N gets a 5 stars from me. Like, this is up there with Wherever Walnut. This is up there with the Tower 28 liners. Like, I'm loving this. The last true lip liner here is from MAC. This is the shade Cool Spice. I feel like I had to go all over the world to get this thing because this was sold out, I feel like, everywhere, but I was excited to get my hands on Cool Spice because it looked, again, I mean, they're all kind of a similar color, what I like on my lips. But I do feel like Cool Spice is a nice addition to the line. It's similar to 1N from the Lisa Eldridge, but I do find this one to be not quite as deep and a little bit more brown toned. I do really like the MAC lip liner formula. It's, again, something that glides yet is still stiff enough to give you a nice line. I feel like it has a nice amount of wear time, but it's not overly long lasting, overly waterproof, and you can easily retouch if you need to. So really happy with this one. If you can catch it, I don't know if it's going to stay around, if it's a part of the permanent line or a limited edition. I'm not the biggest MAC girly, but I've been trying to get into the lip products because I've been seeing them everywhere and they look so beautiful, and this was a win for me. I'd put this one at 4.5 stars right now. That's where I'd put this. Speaking of MAC and lip products, they have released new nudes lines. These are kind of like redone ones. Again, I'm not the biggest MAC girly, so like forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but they've brought back some colors that were really popular and I've been seeing them everywhere. And I had a girls' day with Eshani for my birthday and I was like, I want to go look at the MAC lipsticks. She was like, who are you? What are you talking about? You want bullet lipsticks? I was like, I know, but they're getting me. So I picked up Folio. I know, who am I? What am I doing? But I just had to. Out of the new ones, I believe, this one is Cool Teddy, which is another really beautiful lipstick. I feel like this pairs really nicely with Cool Spice. And then 2 other lipsticks I got, which these are not necessarily new. I did pick up Modesty and also Bronx. So that's kind of the selection I have going. I never really looked out for MAC lipsticks, and these are all in different formulas, but if we're just talking about the colors here, I will say Cool Teddy to me is definitely the one. Modesty is also pretty nice, but I have to be careful with that one that I don't put too much on my lips because it can give a little bit of the butthole lip, I feel like, because it's a little bit lighter. But I've been enjoying going for something a little bit bolder on the lips, doing a lighter eye or a monochromatic eye, and then what feels like punching up the lips, even if I'm not doing a bright color, but doing something that feels a little more structured or bold for what I usually do. These have been fun to explore, and I have been trying to just use a little bit more of a bullet lipstick lately. I will say this about Folio though, if you're like me and you're kind of like seeing them all over and you're like interested in this weird color and like it's interesting, you know who you are, because this one is a little bit harder to wear. I feel like I like it best when I pair it with a lip liner, something like the Lisa Eldridge or even the Cool Spice shade. Helps to kind of like warm this up a little bit, helps to just like, you know, kind of give it something to go off of, and then you can kind of tap this on in the middle of a lip, and I feel like that's the most wearable for me. But yeah, I'm having fun playing around with these. Are they needed? No, I would give all of these probably a solid 3. Depending on who you are, they might go way higher, but I don't regret getting them and I'm happy with them, but they aren't getting used as much as other things in my collection for sure. Continuing on with lip products, a release I was so excited for from Lineage. These are the Glaze Craze tinted lip serums. I love the lip glowy balms, I believe they're called, from Lineage. They're like liquefied lip balm. That is so good. I feel like it's glossy, it feels hydrating, it's just so nice. So I was really excited for these. The applicator on these these is a little different. I believe they're calling it like a donut applicator, and that was a big part of the theme of this. Also the glaze craze, like they were going hard for that. And the applicator I do enjoy. I actually think I would like it though more on a less tinted lip product because it's not as precise. So I feel like that would just be a better pairing, but nonetheless, it's not like the worst. Another positive before I tell you why I don't like these, I'm obsessed with the way this smells. It smells like burnt spun sugar. It is so freaking good. That alone, I'm like, can we get a body mist of this? Can we get other products with the scent? Like, obsessed with the smell. All of these smell pretty good, but I think there is something about sugar glaze that is just like unmatched. That being said, formula wise, these aren't the same as the lip glowy balms. I guess I was figuring they would be very similar to those, but I find these slightly thicker. As much as these are not fully pigmented, they're more pigmented than I thought. I thought they'd be a little bit more sheer, and I'm just not loving them like I really just kind of assumed that I would. I find them best actually without a lip liner. I like them on their own. I feel like because of the amount of pigmentation and all that, when I have a lip liner on, it just becomes a very full done lip for me. It's a lot for my little lips to handle, and again, look wise, it's not my favorite. So alone is definitely the best. I like all the colors, don't get me wrong. It's just, again, my expectation for these, it's not quite been met, and I prefer the formula of the glowy lip balms, and I'd rather do that with like a lip liner and get the color that way than just use this product. So kind of a weird one. Really expected to like it. I would give these probably like a 3 right now, a low 3 though, just because again, they're not really for me and I'm not really recommending them, but they do have positive things going for them too. And I feel like maybe someone with different preferences would like them, but I don't even love the way they wear. They're a little sticky as I wear them. I'm not obsessed. I keep trying to love them, and I'm like, the reality is I really don't love them. Another unfortunate miss for me, this is from YSL. I was excited for this, which is kind of weird because it's a liquid lipstick, and like, again, who the hell am I? But I've been branching out when it comes to lip products. This is the Inks Blur Lipstick, and it's in the shade 232. I'm sure it has another name to it, but I really thought the applicator was interesting on this. It's almost like a paddle with an angle on it. It's supposed to give a long-lasting blurred lip look, and I thought that looked great. It looked so good on the model, so I was like, I'm gonna go for it. And initially, this looks so good on. I think the color is really great for me. The applicator works really well to get a nice line, even though it is a blurred lip look. It's not like overly blurry in a messy way. It's just really flattering and just looks nice on the lips. That being said, the kind of disaster to me happens as it dries down. So initially it's kind of thin and it goes on great. The pigment goes on even. Everything's going great, but then it starts drying down and it starts becoming very tacky. And I kind of get why they made this formula, because as much as this is a liquid lipstick, it's not one of those drying liquid lipsticks that's gonna crack on your lips and like make your lips feel really dry. Because it kind of stays a little tacky and sticky, but stuck in place, it can have your lips move around, which you need. This is a movable area on the face, so that is nice that it won't have the cracking, but it's pretty sticky to me, okay? It feels like I have glue on my lips. It's just an uncomfortable feeling and something I don't like. I think you could maybe powder it if you really wanted to, but that's probably gonna make your lips a little bit more dry, and I just don't want to have to do that step necessarily. I feel like this should be fine on its own. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I think I show in a clip where I'm like I can stick paper to my lips. Like, it is quite sticky to me. Like, in a way, again, that's like uncomfortable and just doesn't quite work for me. So I don't love that about it. There's positives on this one, there's negatives, but for me, this is truly a 2. Like, I don't know. I just don't want that in a lip product. I don't think it's worth it. If I want a blurred lip look, I'm gonna go with the Refi one. I'm still gonna go over there, you know? So this one's a no. I do find it's pretty transfer proof, at least initially, but depending on what you drink from or maybe eat, like sometimes that stickiness, the sticky will transfer and it will wear away throughout the day. But because of this color, it does wear away nicely, I will say. So I don't know. It could be for you. Let me know your thoughts on this if you've tried it, but I give it a 2. I give it a 2 just because it's too sticky. Like, I don't know. It's not wearable to me in that stage. Oh my gosh, there's still 2 more lip products. How are we still on lips? There's so much, you guys. This is a newer one from Clarins. This is the Kiss Water Tint, I think it is. It's the water lip stain. I'm just like making up names here. I picked up the shade 13. It's like nude something. And this has a little brush tip applicator. Okay, like a little stubby brush. This tickles the shit out of my lips when I put on. It's like tickling me. Oh my gosh. So I get why they chose this applicator. It kind of reminds me of like the Benetint. It's for sure in that vein, and it smells good. It has a fruity smell. This is definitely watery, but still kind of milky, and it leaves that stain on your lips, but it's a slow forming stain. So like if you put this on and you make a little mistake and you clean it up, you're not gonna get a stain immediately. Some stains are like indestructible. 1 second on your skin, you're done for a week, okay? Like some are so intense. So I like that this is very user-friendly in that way. And because it's almost like a little milky and clear, it reminds me more of like the Cha Cha tint or like the other tints besides Benetint, because that one is more transparent. Anyway, the tint that this leaves is pretty light. It kind of builds the longer you wear it on your lips. And I do like the look of it. It's thin and it doesn't leave like a gloss initially. Like there's a little bit more product on your lips, but I feel like with just natural wear, even just a little bit into the product, it's really gonna leave more just that stain behind than like a gloss and then later a stain, if you know what I'm talking about. With other kind of glossy lip stains, this is more just the stain part. I think it's nice. There's K-beauty products that do this. Again, there's Benetint. Do you need this? I don't know, but I do think it's a solid launch from Clarins, and I picked up the more neutral shade and I went back and forth. I feel like with lip stains, sometimes I just don't want only a like hot pink lip, but I think this formula, because it's a little bit softer, could be really nice in one of those brighter colors, especially going into spring and summer and just having an easy lip stain on. I feel like lip stains have definitely been more of a trend. Anything that's going to give you that long wearing look without having to touch up, with the product just staying in place, that has been trending. So I think this was a good launch for them. I'm going to give it a 3 for now. I'm going to keep using it. Maybe it'll move up as it goes. It's definitely a solid launch, but there are a lot of other products I feel like that could do something similar to this if you don't want to pick up the Clarins. Last for lip products here, this is a little bit newer for me. It came out a little bit ago, but I just got it sent to me from Makeup Forever. This is the Super Boost lip gloss, I guess. This is in Wherever Walnut though, so it kind of follows the lip liners that they have, which I'm a huge fan of those lip liners. I have loved Wherever Walnut for years and years and years. It is so good. It's one of the lip liners that actually got me into lip liners in general and really how they can sculpt a lip. Just, it made me realize what I was missing out on. That being said, I was excited for these, but the packaging was weird. This looks like Makeup Revolution packaging. I felt like this looked a little maybe young or cheap. It feels good, but I just felt like, okay, this is different from Makeup Forever. They're very much like a professional brand to me, and maybe they're branching out and wanting a different vibe, and they're definitely doing something different with this packaging. Also, that goes for the freaking huge doe foot. This looks like a witch's fucking toe or like a witch's foot, okay? I don't know, a witch's hat, I don't know. It's a very interesting doe foot. It holds a lot of product, and for my little lips, it's kind of a lot. I don't need everything that's on here, but everyone has different lip sizes, so maybe it's perfect for other people. That all being said, this is a really pretty lip gloss. It's a little bit thicker, and I don't know if I would say it's sticky, but it gives that really plush and glassy kind of look to the lips. Like, I have been wearing this, and I'm like, damn, my lips look so good. It does plump slightly as well. It has a slightly minty and tingling feel. It's not over the top plumping, so it's not painful, but it is there. So if you don't like a minty lip gloss, it might not be the one for you. I feel like the opacity on it's perfect. It's pretty sheer overall. It looks great on its own. I really like that look. With a little bit of lip liner, I also like that as well. So I'm into it. I have a few other colors, so I'm excited to try maybe some of the brighter lips to get that popsicle, like pouty, really glossy shine, but an even shine. It fills in the lip lines a little, like it gives that kind of look. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like smooth and plush. A solid release for sure for a gloss. I'm gonna give this like a high 3 or a 4. Like it's going into 4, but I've literally had it a few days, so that's part of why I'm like, let me have it a little bit longer. But I at least wanted to give you guys some thoughts on it since I have it, and I feel like this was one I was anticipating. We're gonna get into some complexion and kind of base products, and I've already mentioned that I picked up the Eldridge Pinpoint Concealer. I was curious about this. I feel like this is a product that I get the idea of, I really do, and I wanted to see if maybe this worked for me, but there were a lot of things about it that also were like, what the heck? First off, this is a concealer, but it's in like an eyeliner form, right? So think of an eyeliner and then think of how much product's in there to conceal your face. It's not a ton, okay? There's not a lot of product in here. And this thing is pretty expensive. On Selfridges, it's $30. On Liberty London, it's $36. So, you know, for a concealer with such little product, it is definitely a pricey little thing. That being said, I do like the idea of pinpointing concealer on and really just touching up the one area you need. Sometimes you just have a tiny little blemish or a tiny little red spot, and this feels very on the go and easy breezy and kind of simple makeup, and I liked the idea of that, and I get the idea of that, but you can also get that with just a brush. This is more feels on the go, I guess. Anyway, I want to tell you what shade I picked up, but I'm realizing all of the writing is just coming right off, which is a little disappointing considering how expensive this product is, that the writing can't even stay on the packaging. I'll try to look up what shade I bought and put it on the screen for you guys. I feel like the shade's okay for me. Here's the thing, my personal experience and like my issues with my face, which are all different for everyone, so keep that in mind. But without a base on, I have very red skin, and honestly lately I've been really going through it. I'm in a great place right now, but it has been a struggle. I've had some really bad flare-ups, to be honest. So the idea that I would just pinpoint one little spot with this is just usually not the case because my whole face is red. Like, you know, like this isn't gonna do much, but I have had a few spots, and so I was like, perfect, let's use it. And you can pinpoint them. The color is maybe a little light. Maybe I could go a little darker, especially for spots, so that it's not highlighting it. You know, these areas are already raised, and if you're putting a lighter color on them, it's going to make them look more pronounced. So you can almost get away with something very much your skin tone, even slightly darker, as opposed to slightly lighter. And especially too, when I'm concealing a blemish, you know, sometimes that skin is a little dry around that area, you know, it's healing, it's in its process. And when I use this on those spots, especially before going in with anything, or if I were gonna do a bare face and just kind of cover a blemish, this does emphasize some dryness. It's not the highest pigmentation either. I don't find this to be like full coverage, so I don't know. It just has a very specific place. The times that this has worked best for me is actually after I do a full face, okay? So everything's done, and then if I notice after that that there's maybe one blemish, maybe I have something on my chin or whatnot, I can go in and kind of just add right where it is and just put it on. And I try to do minimal blending, actually. It's almost like the pigment I'm applying from here is what's going onto the face, and I try not to even blend it out, and I think that almost works the best, looks the best, but that's such a specific reason and all that to have a $36 pencil concealer. So that all being said, I don't think it's worth it, and if it is worth it for you, I feel like it's gonna be for very specific reasons. I'd love to know if you pick this up, how you're making it work, how are you liking it? It's not horrible, it's just like for my skin type, the conditions and issues I have with my skin, it's just not as much of a hero product as it could be. But I can see someone who maybe has a travel makeup bag, wants to touch up on the way home, or I don't know, is going out after, and this coming in handy. So let me know if that's you. But even as I'm saying that, I'm like, a normal concealer can also do that. You don't necessarily need this. So I think I would give this a 2, unfortunately, just for how it's working for me. It's not really it. Another Lisa Eldridge product, this one I've really been loving, and it's the Skin Tint. I picked it up in the shade 3. This is like an egg, but you shake it up. It's very watery, and it kind of reminds me of like, what, the Chanel Vita Lumiere Aqua, I think it is. I've never even tried that, but I know that when you shake it up, okay? Anyway, this is a skin tint. You don't need a lot of it. You can kind of, you know, create the custom coverage that you want, and I love this for just easy days. Like, it's such an easy product to use. I squeeze out a little right on my face. I'll use a brush. Sometimes I'll use a sponge, but I tend to just use a brush, especially if I'm in a hurry. This is the type of makeup for every day for me, that it just looks good, I feel good, but I'm not also toiling with my makeup all day long. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta do shit and I wanna look good doing it, and that's what this gives me. Nice, like, medium coverage. Again, you can kind of build it up where you want to, or have a sheer of coverage as you really want to as well. I personally get like a demi matte kind of finish. Like, it's not overly glowy to me, but it's also not like completely matte, and I feel like for longevity, it lasts pretty well throughout the day on me. I have oily skin, and this holds up in a way that I kind of expect. I don't expect my makeup to look flawless at the end of the night. Maybe that's something you want, but just with time, I move my face around. I am not checking up on it. Like, I want to live, you know? And I feel like this holds up how I want, something in expect something to look. I feel like with full coverage and looks that are like bulletproof, you are trading off other things for it. It's very beautiful. It looks great in videos. It looks great in photos. There is a time and place for sure, but I find if you aren't going to be there to really babysit that look, something that maybe does break down a little or like, you know, gets a little oily, but you can easily touch up, has better qualities for every day. And I feel like that's kind of where this lies for me. I can get really dry around my mouth, and I have noticed sometimes at the end of the night, it's a little dry there, but nothing, you know, that I feel like is abnormal for kind of what it's fighting against and like the situation it's up against, you know what I mean? So I've been loving this. This is a strong 4 for me, okay? Like one of my favorite skin tints. I really quite like this. Definitely a win for me. Oh my gosh, let's talk about this. I got sucked into the marketing, I feel like, on this from ABH. This is the Impeccable setting spray. The claims I was seeing were like, it's gonna make you matte. It's gonna make you powdered looking from like a spray. And I was like, heck yeah, again, I'm oily. I feel like setting mists are a nice compromise to me because as much as powders look great, they can like smooth your face, get rid of some of the look of texture and the look of pores, really set down makeup, give it a long lasting look and like actual application. But sometimes powders can be drying. If you have dry patches, it can really emphasize that. And sometimes I like the look of just natural skin. I don't want it to necessarily be powdered. So I feel like that's the place where like setting sprays can really come in and help give you some longevity without over powdering. This says it's a 24-hour matte setting spray that blurs, hydrates, and locks in makeup for a non-drying skin-like finish. I get a skin finish on this. There's just no mattifying to be had. I never experienced that once in my life with this product. It's fine, but it's just like all my other setting sprays. Like I feel like if I just thought this was like a regular mist, I'd be like, okay. But because it's so into the 24-hour and like the mattifying, the blurring, I was going in really hoping that would be the case, and it's just not, at least for the style of makeup I do. Maybe if I used more powder, maybe if I did a baking situation and then use this, it'd be better. I don't know. But I have footage of me just, you know, it was a full day wear, don't get me wrong, but like later on in the day, I'm telling you, I am looking glossy. Look, so greasy. I have a glow. I got a glow going on, but it's pretty greasy, guys. Pretty greasy. The oil is glowing and glimmering off my skin. I mean, it was a solid sheen across the whole face, which is kind of its own look, don't get me wrong, you know, a little greasy face, but in a glowy way. But yeah, mattifying wear. It's just not doing what it's saying it's doing. So I think I would still give this a 2. It's not like it's a horrible product, and I'll use it in my little brow wax. Like I'll find ways to use this up. I just have to have different expectations than what they're actually saying and selling it to me as, because I did not get blurring or mattifying or like a spray powder is kind of what I was expecting this to be, and it's just not doing it. I'm glad they offered it in the small size. I'm glad I went with the small size because it's something I can move through, but I definitely want to repurchase. You're gonna see that most of the stuff is gonna fall between 2 and 4 stars. Like if I love it, I really want that 5 stars to be an emphasis for you guys to know how much I love something. But also with 1 star, if I'm gonna call something trash, like we gotta have the evidence here. We gotta have, like, it's gotta be bad. You know what I mean? So yeah, I wanna be as fair as I possibly can. Okay, a couple more complexion products. I did try these new Kosas correctors. I know they have powders out now too, but I thought this was a great launch for them. I'm actually surprised they haven't done something like this sooner, but these are the Revealer Extra Bright Serum Powered Color Correctors. I did get 2 shades because online I couldn't tell what was gonna work for me. So I got Magic and I also got Illusion. Illusion, if you're more on the fair side like me, Illusion's gonna be too dark for you, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so just don't get this. It's a little too pigmented, too orange, so it's gonna work for other skin tones great, but for me, a little too much. Maybe come summer, we'll see how it goes. But Magic is a little bit more on the pink side. This is more like a pink that again is quite pigmented. I feel like the color correcting part of this is quite strong and quite pigmented. So if you have really dark bluish circles, I think this could work well. It's definitely very brightening. I definitely have some dark circles, some days more than others for sure, but I don't feel like it's one of my biggest struggles or necessarily one of my biggest concerns. So I almost feel like the pigment of pink on here is a little bit much for every day. And kind of my perfect corrector is more a corrector I can use, but don't necessarily have to top with a concealer. And I find with this one, I can use it alone, but I feel like it looks best just more under stuff, like really doing the job of a corrector, not being the final product people are seeing, being the thing underneath that's correcting the color so that I don't have those dark circles, if that makes sense. So it's a creamy formula. I think if you really like the Kosas concealer, I think you're gonna like these. I think it's like a solid launch. It's just the colors and tones and how I like to do my makeup just aren't quite for me, but I can see them working for a lot of other people. I think it's a solid product. I'm giving it a 3. Last for complexion, this one's a little bit older, but I got sent this from Tower 28. It's the GetSet translucent powder, but it's pressed, and I've been loving this. I didn't know how I would like it. You know, I really do like a loose powder. I think you get a lot of control with that. It looks really natural, but I find for a pressed powder, this looks so good. It gives me a really blurred, mattified finish without looking cakey. It doesn't look like I've applied powder, which I love. It really can get rid of the look of pores on my skin, which is so nice. And again, it does all that in a very natural way where it doesn't look dry and powdered on my skin. So pretty. Maybe not the most lasting power and longevity. Like I need to touch up every now and then if I want to keep that look going. But I also find that throughout the day, it doesn't dry out my skin more. It doesn't feel like it kind of clumps up or like feels like more and more layers on my skin. So really a beautiful powder if you're looking for something translucent. It's a great on-the-go powder, except for on the go, it does not have a mirror or anything. That's the only thing I wish it did, because then I could really put it in my bag and it'd be an easier thing like that. But as for the product itself, I'm really, really enjoying this. I would give this a 4 for sure. I have so much more to talk about, but I'm gonna come back later. So we'll see if I'm in the same getup or not. And we will continue on with blushes because there's a ton of blushes. We have eye products, so much more. And we're back, same day, different outfit. I actually went to a little makeup event. Shout out to Magdaline. She's Magdaline Janet here on YouTube if you don't follow her. She invited me and it was a Milk makeup event. So I have the new Skin Tint here and I'm very excited to try it. It's been on my radar and I'm very hopeful. Haven't tried it yet, so I'll keep you guys updated on if this works out. Not in this video, we have a million other things to talk about, but I'll get back to you with my thoughts on this hopefully soon. Anyway, let's get into blushes because there have been so many blushes that have come out. Y'all, I was so excited for these from YSL. These are the, I think they're called Make Me Blush blushes. I picked up the shade 93, which is called Restless Rose, and I also got Nude Lavalier. Oh my gosh, I'm holding them so weird, but this is number 44. You know, these were reminding me of the Gucci blushes, and you guys know how much I love those blushes, so I was very hopeful, and it's not that these are bad. I will say color-wise, I thought these were gonna look way different than they do. I'll try to pop up a picture. It was kind of hard when I first ordered these to know what the shades were even gonna actually look like. Nude Lavalier is kind of almost a berry with a bit of a cooler sheen to it, and then Restless Rose I thought was gonna be more like a light pinky rose, but it's more peachy because it's pink with that gold flip to it. It has a sheen as well, and so it reminds me more of like a NARS Orgasm kind of situation. Color-wise on the cheeks, they do look different. I think I prefer maybe Restless Rose, but it's more about the formula for these that I just wish was better. Again, not bad, but I find these just slightly powdery for my taste and like what I would prefer. They also have like a medium pigmentation. They are for sure buildable, but I find, you know, that first application, I gotta be a little careful. I wanna tap my brush off and just make sure I'm being very cognizant of how much blush I'm applying so I don't get too much. You can get a very blushy look pretty fast with these, which could be your style, or maybe you want that pigmentation, but I tend to like something that's sheer and buildable and a little bit easier upon first application. So again, workable totally, and I think could be some people's preference, but not my everyday blush. These kind of remind me of the Armani blushes that came out. I think that formula is nice. Again, totally understand why people love it, but it's just not the perfect formula for me. And so if you like those Armani blushes, you might like these. I'm giving them a 3 though. I would prefer the Gucci blush, and I still suggest that, just like pick the right shade for you. I'm happy that the sheen on these though isn't too overemphasizing of texture. Like it's not like the Rare Beauty highlighter kind of blushes, but I feel like because it's more of a powdery formula, again, I can see it more on the cheeks than I would like. So I give it a 3. I give these a 3. Natasha Denona came out with some cream blushes. These are the cream blush duos, the high blushes. I picked out the shade Fresh Mauve. Let me tell you though, picking out a shade was like, what am I supposed to do? Because I felt like the whole shade range was very, very similar in a lot of ways. Like there wasn't a ton of differentiation between all the different duos. So I went with something a little bit more mauve. They're both creams. One is though like a cream as in no shimmer, and then the other one has a little bit of a sheen to it. And I think this is a solid blush formula. I have really enjoyed it. I use it with my BK Beauty, you know, Angie Hot and Flashy angled blush brush, you know, the one I love. I think it works great in here. I love using this as like a layering product, so it'll be the cream blush I use, and then I'll usually top it with a powder, and I think it works great for that. It's just solid, you know what I mean? Like, I'm realizing now I want to give this like a high 3, but I feel like that kind of contrasts to the YSL blushes, but I feel like the YSL blushes get a 3 because I feel like it's still a solid formula for other people. This is a formula I still like. It's still solid for me, but it still doesn't even quite go into love, and it's verging on a 4. Again, I really do like it. I've been just testing a lot of stuff, and in that way it feels like it'll get forgotten fast for me. We'll see with time if I keep reaching for this, but if you were interested in this blush, I do think it's a great formula and I have enjoyed it. If a color works for you, I think that's like the biggest thing. I felt like I was choosing fresh mauve out of everything. Like, it was the one I liked the most, but it wasn't like, oh, I gotta get that blush color. Ooh, that's the blush color for me. And I think that's part of why it's not a 4. And I will mention with any of the Natasha Denona stuff, I do have a code with Natasha Denona, so you can use that. It is affiliated. I like to mention my codes when I do have them, just for whenever you guys want to shop. Use it or don't use it however you want to. Let's talk about these Glow Recipe blushes. These are the Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewy Flushes. Okay, they're kind of like a serum blush. I picked up both shades because I didn't know how much pigment these were gonna have, but they actually have more pigment than I thought. Watermelon Fizz is a beautiful, like, warmer, almost kind of like peachy watermelon color, and then Berry Fizz I find turns more of like a true pink on my cheeks. I was prepared to hate these, I really was. And usually this kind of formula of blush, a serum, a liquid blush, is not my favorite. I do appreciate the applicator though. These have a doe foot, which makes it really easy to apply instead of having to like squeeze out on the back of your hand. But with serum-y, liquidy blushes, I always worry that it's gonna disrupt the foundation underneath. And I do feel like these work best if you have a lighter base on. So on a day when I'm doing something more like the Lisa Eldridge, I feel like these are a nice companion to that, and I don't run the risk as much of like really picking up a lot of the base product because I'm having a lighter coverage. So that's how I suggest wearing these. And when I wear them that way, I'll dab on a few dots, I'll blend it out with a beauty blender, like a beauty sponge, and I think it looks good. It gives me a nice kind of from under the skin glow. It reminds me a bit in a way of the Milk Makeup ones, the jelly blushes, you know, the ones. Those are a little bit more pigmented and give a stain kind of look, but those to me also look like they're kind of coming out from under the skin, and I like that look about them, but it's not gonna be for everyone, and these are definitely not for me for every day. I was also worried these were gonna stay kind of tacky and sticky on the cheeks, but they dry down in a nice way. So I was very happy about that, pleasantly surprised, and I give them a solid 3. Okay, I think they're gonna be for who they're for. If you're a more low maintenance or these seem like a type of blush you would like, I think you might actually really like them. I would say though my favorite formulas of blushes are still like creams in compacts, creams in sticks, and also powder formulas, especially something that's either baked or kind of that slurry, you know, like really finely milled kind of formula, but not as bad as I thought. I thought I was truly gonna be like trash, but I give these a 3. I kind of like them for certain situations, certain times. It's a very youthful kind of fresh look. I have some other stuff from Tower 28 here. These were sent to me and I don't know if these are even out yet, so hopefully I can give you guys some thoughts before to see if these are right for you. These are the GetSet powder blushes, and to me these remind me a lot of actually the translucent powder. I'm glad I got to try that because these have that matte, soft touch, soft blur kind of look to the skin. I have 3 shades here. I have Samo Spritzer, I have Long Beach Iced Tea, and also that kind of baby pink one, which is called Malibu Cooler. I quite like these. I love the neutral shades a little bit more than the bright pink, but if you're into that baby pink, this might be the one to check out. It's a very easy blendable formula. It definitely leaves a matte look on the cheeks, and it kind of gives your cheeks a filtered look. That's every time I wear it, I'm like, my cheeks look like I'm almost wearing a filter. So it's a little bit blurred, it's a little bit mattified, and the pigment is definitely very soft. You can build it up, but you're not gonna get a ton on, even though it initially seems like it might be powdery, it doesn't translate that way as you put it on in terms of pigment. And I have been enjoying these. I think these are a solid launch. I think they pair well also with the cream blushes. I love the Beach Please ones. I think that's what the name is of them, but the cream blushes from Tower 28 I think are great. Magic Hour is one of my favorites, and I do still prefer this one. It's a nice like heavy duty cream in that it really lasts all day for me, even though it's a cream product and I am oily, so I love that about it. But I think these pair well together if you want to do that. But if you're looking for a matte blurred filtered option, it might be something to check out. The closest thing I was thinking when I was trying these was the Haus Labs blushes, also kind of similar. I find these maybe a little bit more sheer than those, maybe just a little, but they definitely give that same kind of filtered mattified look. And I also thought about the Kaleidos blushes too. So if you like those kinds of formulas, that's what you're getting in here. I'm getting into a matte blush look. I love something with just that little bit of sheen, a little bit of a lifelike quality, because I haven't been wearing as much highlighter, so it's kind of doing double duty. And then throughout the day, that sheen really comes out also from like the oils in my skin, and I like the way that looks and wears. But I've also found from these, because they're mattifying, I actually get a little bit more longevity in terms of oiliness because they're kind of doing the work of like the powder. So I think these are very solid into the like range. So they're like verging on a 4. I'm gonna give it a soft 4. I think we're on to the last blush. This one had me really excited because it is a baked blush, and give me all the baked blushes, okay? I feel like I've been asking for more and more baked products, and so when Saie came out with this blush, I was like, heck yeah, I ordered it immediately. I picked up the shade Mia. This is a talc-free formula if that's something you're interested in, and I personally think it's beautiful. I like this color a lot. This is almost like a berry mauve kind of shade with a little bit of a cool sheen, but the sheen is not too much. It's nowhere near a highlighter. It just gives something not flat and matte. So really am enjoying the actual product and the formula. I can see myself wearing this a lot. Easy peasy blush to throw on, okay? I will say there's only 3 grams of product in here, so it's not the most product. This retails for like $28. So there's other things on the market if you're looking for baked blushes. If you want something drugstore, there's the Milani ones, there's the Laura Geller ones. I feel like those are really popular and have been around a long time for a way more intense highlightery kind of blush look, the Rare Beauty one. So I'm excited this kind of falls in line with that. The only real problem I have with this is packaging, and like for some people that won't mean anything, and it's like the product is all that matters, but I just have to say this packaging to me just felt so cheap. Like I honestly am getting like LA Girl, is that what it was? Do you remember the Sunny bronzer back in the day? It just had like a plastic hinge. It wasn't even a real hinge. This does have a hinge, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of the vibe, okay? It just feels so cheap. I'm kind of surprised. And I know housing a baked product like this, it's domed and it's a different kind of situation, but I really didn't love that. Even the way the sticker was on is really bubbly and just kind of, again, I don't love how this was housed and kind of packaged. So maybe that means something to you, maybe it doesn't. I do like that it's small, even though it's not a ton of product. It's not a huge, big baked blush, and I feel like sometimes baked products can kind of get out of hand in how big they are. So I love that this is still travel size. So there's compromises there. I can kind of see why maybe potentially they picked this packaging, but I feel it. I feel the kind of cheapness and the lightweightness. It just feels different than I was thinking, and it really stood out to me in a kind of negative way. But that being said, I still give this like a 4 stars because I know I'm gonna use it. We'll see if it'll be a fling or if it'll be for a long time, but I do really like this. And this gets that 4 for me also because it's a baked formula. This is just like within my zone, the products I'm looking out for, the formulas that I want to see being made and that I'm interested in using. So still very happy with this despite the packaging. Despite the packaging. I think we finally made it to eyes. You guys, we're finally onto the eye products. I'm gonna first talk about the Chantecialle Les Papillons collection. One was sent to me, one I bought myself, and these are really beautiful. You guys know I was talking about these, like excited to try them out. I knew I wanted to get my hands on them and let you guys know if they were worth it. And I'm happy to say we're back to like what I feel like I expect in terms of formula from Chantecialle. The Cheetah Trio, as much as that is workable, it had I think 2 mattes in it and 1 shimmer. That shimmer in there wasn't this kind of like baked or again slurry, I'm not sure which one it is, but this kind of like silky beautiful formula that I come to know and love from the Chantecialle singles. That formula I haven't been seeing in the Cheetah Trio, and I also felt like for the holiday duos. Again, we weren't getting this kind of yummy, just beautiful formula, and I'm happy to say it's back, okay? So we have the Nymph eyeshadow trio here. This is my top one. This is gonna get, ooh, to put it in a 5 is a lot, but it's a high 4. I really, really love this one. It has a beautiful purple if you want to do something a little different, but I've really been loving this kind of champagne. This has a lot of sparkle to it, so it just looks so pretty on the eyes, whereas the other kind of neutral peachy tone in here, that one comes off a little less sparkly. This one definitely has a lot of shine and sparkle to it. It's just a stunning trio. Very expensive, definitely not like necessarily a need, but a really nice treasure piece in my collection. Really enjoying this trio. The other trio is a little more fun. This one is the Diana, and it has this iridescence. That's the one I really wanted. I was sent the Nymph palette, but I really wanted to get my hands on this kind of ethereal green kind of shade that's just like iridescent. Really reminds me of the butterflies, which inspired this collection. And I think this one's beautiful too. This is definitely a little bit lighter if you want a lighter eye look, but I can still get some really great neutral looks from this. I do like this palette as well. I like the iridescent, but if you're someone who's really into indie shadows, you love iridescent shades, you love that sparkle, I don't know if this is gonna go as hard for you as you want it to, but if you feel like that's too much and you just wanna go a little iridescent, you're like, okay, I don't need to do that much, but I want something a little fun, I would check this one out because I feel like it might be that perfect speed for you for that. So out of the two, I do prefer the Nymph one. I just feel like I get more use out of all the shades more, but for the makeup lover in me, I'm not necessarily mad about this one either, and I can create some really beautiful looks. Love the formula. Definitely an expensive purchase, but I like the way they look, and I'm so happy that it's that kind of formula, something really smooth and silky, and just it feels luxe. I feel like it looks luxe on the eyes, and definitely some of the eyeshadows I'm wanting to wear nowadays. We have some more Natasha Denona to talk about. This is the mini eye sculpt palette, and this is one of those things that's just like a basic, okay? Like if you need some matte shadows, you don't want a big old palette, this has kind of a great gradient of whatever you might need, and I really love this. If you're into single shadow looks, one and done eyeshadows, you have a bunch of single potted things or whatnot, maybe some duos in there, and you want some shadows that are gonna anchor some looks, I feel like this is a great companion palette that's still small. It's still gonna be compact in that way, so I really love it for that. It has a black in it. The matte formula is really nice. I've been using these two shades the most as kind of underneath my eye on my lower lash line. I really like defining with a soft powder there, so that's what I've been using it for most, but I also feel like it's a great one for travel and just again for basics. You might already have them though, because basics are very basic and they're everywhere, but if you're looking for something specifically more in this format, I think it's a really nice release. And I give it, I don't know, I think I'm gonna give it a 4, but it's like a solid 4 where like it's just good, like, you know, so I give it a 4. As for this Bloom palette, we got a new midi palette, you guys, and this is what she looks like. Very warm, a little bit lighter and warmer and kind of orangier than I expected it to be, but I wanted to pick it up. I really love the packaging, and I love that we're getting these kinds of motifs with the midi palettes. They're just a little sturdier, and I don't know, I just thought it was really beautiful, very spring, and I don't know, I like that attention to detail. It's kind of elevating the palette as the years go on. You know, this is kind of a big palette for me nowadays. I love a single shadow, you guys know, but I'm sure like a lot of you, the shade Equinox really intrigued me, okay? Like I just was like, not that I want to buy a palette for one shadow, but this was this is the thing that was pulling me in. And I have to say, Equinox as well as Lush and Crisp are very beautiful shimmery shadows. They have a lot of sparkle to them. I'm wearing that Equinox shade right now with a little bit of Fleur, this really pretty kind of rosewood brown in the outer corner, very lightly. It's a beautiful look. It's an everyday kind of look for me. Really love that. I also did a look with a little bit of Petal and kind of went a little more orangey, did a little Lush on the lid, and that looked really pretty as well. It's very springtime. Again, I feel like this is gonna be like, if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, pass on this one, get something else. Also with all the midi palettes for Natasha Denona, in case you didn't know, you can pop the shadows out and you can move them around. So it's something to consider as well, that you can kind of make your own palettes and customize things. I have videos from back in the day that I've done that with. If you're interested in that and kind of want to see and get creative like that, I just think that's a fun element. But I thought I would hold this up to some other palettes from Natasha Denona so you could see them in comparison to each other. So the Bloom palette, and then this one is the I Need a Warm palette. You can tell that this one's way more neutral, comparing it to something a little bit older. This is the Sunrise, I want to say. Yeah, the Sunrise palette. So I feel like there are some similar tones in here, but the Sunrise is a little more punchy in terms of color. For another warm one, this is the Bronze palette compared to the Bloom palette. Again, some similar tones. I really feel like this is going to be best for someone who, like, these are your thing. If it's your thing, like the tones in the I Need a Nude are my thing, then it's going to be a great pickup for you, I think. But I do prefer something more like this. This is a fun launch, and I'm definitely having some fun playing with the different colors, but there's a lot in here I don't think I'm going to be reaching for every day. So for me, it's a 3, but I'm excited to keep playing with it this spring and seeing what looks I can create with it. It is a heavy matte palette though, so you definitely want to like mattes for this one. I think this is the last eyeshadow like palette, and I wanted to shout this out because Oden's Eye and Morgan Turner did a collab, so congrats to Morgan on her collab. This is the Love Languages palette, and I think it is so pretty. It's very colorful for me nowadays, but I really liked the purples that are in here. There's pinks, it's very romantic, and it came out around Valentine's Day. I think it launched on Valentine's Day. I've done some simple looks with it, a few looks here and there. Again, it is a lot of color for me, but if you are into purples, if you're into pinks, there are some neutrals as well. There are some beautiful shimmers in here. I really love the Oden's Eye formula. I'm an affiliate with Oden's Eye. I've done my own collab with Oden's Eye, so there is that. But I did a look with Flirt that was really, really pretty, and it had me like excited to explore a little more color, especially going into spring. So could be one to check out if you're interested in some more color, if you like Oden's Eye. I wanted to give that a little shout out. You can always use my code. It doesn't work on collabs, but if you're ever shopping Oden's Eye, I do have a code with them as well. It is affiliated. And now on to some new mascaras. I just have the minis here, and I don't know about you, but sometimes minis can play you and be different than the actual full size. So keep that in mind for these reviews, okay? I tried the new Benefit Bounce mascara, and you know, it smudges on me, so there's that. And I don't have a toleration for a little smudging right now. But beyond that, the brush, the wand is very interesting. One side has like shorter bristles on it that I feel like really help to get product onto the lashes. And then I use the other side to kind of brush through that. I find this is really black, so I like that about it. And I also feel like it gives me a more fuller lash look at the base of my lashes. So if that's something you really like, I do feel like this especially gives a fullness there that is really dark and it looks thick, but I don't feel like it gives me necessarily tons of a length on my lashes. It's a drier formula, but again, I do get a little bit of smudging. It's not the worst, so there's that. And if you don't experience bad smudging, maybe it's not a big deal, but I'm not overly powdering my under eye. I just don't like that look very much. And so, you know, I'm prone to a little smudging here and there, and this definitely does on me. So not the one for me. Also, the wand is a little weird, I can't lie. I think with time you could get used to it and really, you know, work it in your favor, but it's a little bit of a weird wand. As for the other one, I have the House Labs mascara here. This one is the Be Structural Volumizing and Lengthening Mascara. Another really black one, another drier formula. And I like the wand on this a little better. It's, you know, a little bit of an hourglass shape with a conical, almost kind of pointed tip on it, which I like that to get kind of the outer lashes. I get a little smudging with this too, so that's kind of the thing where I'm like, I don't know if I'd get the full size. For this, I find it does separate and lengthen my lashes, and it almost gives them this kind of wiry look. It really coats each lash, and I do feel like it looks a little fluttery. Kind of makes my lashes a little bit harder though, and almost feels like I have like wire eyelashes. Like, I know that's like the weirdest thing, but every time I wear it, that's what I think. Like, it kind of thickens them and makes them go out in a way where I'm like, oh, little wires coming out of my eyeballs. It's nice overall. I think this could be one to check out, but again, I do get a little bit of smudging, and I just prefer not to deal with that just because I'm pretty low maintenance. I don't want to touch up my makeup really at all throughout the day. I know. So yeah, I guess I'd give this probably a 2 realistically. You know, it's not my favorite, but this I think I'd give a 3. I think I'd give the House Labs a 3. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot these, but I definitely don't want to. The new shadow sticks from Ilia. If you know me, then you know I was like excited for this launch. The most probably boring launch for most people, but I'm like, a new shadow stick from Ilia, like this is the moment. And I saw that there were so many neutral shades and I was so excited. So I picked up a few, and I have to say, you definitely don't need all of these. I do like this formula. It's a solid 4 for me. We'll see with time if it makes it into, you know, the top tier category, but it has an angle on it, which I like. It's just easy to apply onto the lids. I have the shades Opulent, Beam, Venetian, and Adorn. And I find that Beam and Opulent are very similar. I don't think you necessarily need both of them. Beam is a little bit more of like a peachy golden champagne, and I find Opulent is more of a cooler champagne. But both of them are stunning. I do like both, and they're probably my two favorites out of the 4 that I have here, just because they make perfect bases, but they also just give my lids a nice glow for every day. It's kind of similar to the Hourglass shadow stick, but I find these lock down a little bit more than those ones do. I still get a little creasing by the end of the day. I got some oily lids and they are moving around and they are creasing and they are doing their thing. So, you know, after a long day, there is going to be some creasing on these. At least for me, they have been, but that's like basically all my shadow sticks. There's very few products that truly on their own aren't gonna crease, no matter how much they lock down. As for Venetian, this one is more sparkly than I feel like Beam and Opulent. It has a little bit more of those individual shimmer particles going on throughout, and all of these sheer out quite a bit if you're blending them out with your fingers. And so, you know, it's gonna give a more natural look. These aren't going to be like super opaque unless you really just blend out the outer edge and let them really dry down. Venetian's pretty though, don't get me wrong, and I still like to use it as a base, but I just prefer Opulent and Beam. And then as for Adorn, this one's more that taupey color, so it's a little bit darker. Again, it blends out a lot, so a lot of the shine kind of goes away, and it looks more matte actually, I feel like, on my lids. There's not a ton of sparkle left once I'm really getting a nice blend with my fingers. So it works as like a wash of color on the lids, but I don't feel like this alone is my favorite, and I have tons of other taupey shadows. If you saw my one and done shadow, then you know that I absolutely love. So this is probably the one I would skip out of all of them. But again, like Venetian, Opulent, Beam, they're all very similar. You do not need all of them, but a solid launch. Like, I like it and I'm excited to keep wearing them. I'm a sucker for a shadow stick. Okay, I love them. All right, we're not done yet. I want to talk about kind of some other beauty categories here. I do quickly want to shout out 2 perfumes that I actually really enjoy, and I just want to kind of put on your radar if you're not following me on the fragrance channel, which if you don't know, I have a fragrance channel where we talk all about scent. So if you want more of this kind of content, definitely check it out. But I have been loving the Clean Reserved Whipped Cherry. I love this scent. It smells kind of like Ariana Grande Cloud. So if you like that kind of DNA, something with a little whipped cream, but still kind of light and airy, I think you would like this. It is a cherry scent, but I find it's more like a Cherry Jolly Rancher that is mixed with whipped cream in this showery, watery way. That's sweet, airy, a good one for spring and summer coming up. A really easy wear. You definitely have to like something sweet though, so keep that in mind. But one of my favorite launches from Clean Reserve in a while, and I wanted to give it a little shout out. I'm planning on a bottle, so you know, I would say this is probably 4 or 5 stars. The other one I've really been loving is Brown Girl Jane Casino, and this one I'm going back and forth on a bottle. We'll see. Another sweet one. I love my gourmands. I love my sweet scents, so that's kind of what I'm interested in, on top of unisex. But anyway, go to the other channel. We can talk about it there. That being said, this has like an affogato note, so think something that's like a vanilla sweet coffee. To me, it's kind of like a delicious latte, but again, very airy, a little syrupy. If that's sounding a bit like your vibe, you want a sweet coffee scent that actually smells good and not like burnt roast coffee on you, I would check this one out. I really like it. Last few things, okay? I have this Briogeo. I picked it up, okay? This is a dry shampoo, but it's in like a puff form like this, okay? You see what it is? It's very small. I think this was like about $28, so a tiny amount of product in here. I think this has half the amount of product as my day one, and that one I go through a lot. So I was like, you know, I'm doing it to try it. This definitely does do a good job at dry shampooing your hair, as in it makes it soft and fluffy again. A little bit of a powdery cast, it goes away, but I am happy that they have a darker color, because if on my hair I feel like I'm seeing the cast, I can only imagine if you had darker hair that it would probably show up. Maybe it'd go away, but they have a darker color and I would suggest going with that one. Anyway, it doesn't give you any kind of voluming properties, and I do tend to like a powder that not only is a dry shampoo but does give me some volume, since I have thin fine hair. But really, you know, the dispensing on this is kind of bizarre, because you really gotta like hit your head and you don't think about it. And I don't know if I'm just like over here just being too rough, but I'm like patting my head and it's not the most comfortable thing. I don't love the feeling of really tapping my head like that. Like I'm like hitting my head constantly over and over in all the areas to get the dry shampoo on. And I don't know, I didn't really think about that application and that being an issue, but it kind of is for me. I am traveling soon, so I'm gonna bring this with me, and I feel like that will be the real test. And really, I feel like what this is best for, just because it is so compact and small, you could also have it with you if you needed to do like a touch up on the go. So I feel like that's like the best thing this has going for it, on top of the formula being good. But to pay the price for this small amount and all that, I think it's gonna be best for travel, and I will keep you updated if that's the case, if it works out for me that way. That's gonna be the ultimate test. So far, I give it like, I don't know, maybe a 2.5, but maybe it'll go up to like a 3. We'll see. This one almost didn't make the video. It almost made an empties video because it's almost gone. This is from Prequel. It's the Pre-Gleanse. I didn't realize that's what it's called, but the Pre-Gleanse cleansing oil. I've heard a lot about Prequel from like other influencers and other people, and I feel like it's a newer brand, but they really came out the gate with like PR and the whole strategy. So I've had the brand on my list for a while. Anyway, I needed a cleansing oil. I decided to pick it up. Obviously, I've used it. I like the smell of this. I think it feels really nice on my skin. I did find that my eyes burned a little bit with it. So, you know, I don't love that. And my eyes are sensitive, so I don't think that's gonna necessarily be the case for everyone. But if I'm being real with myself, I definitely feel like every time I would use this and really work it in to get all the makeup off, I did feel like my eyes were a little bit more sensitive afterward. And as much as this definitely does remove makeup, I have white towels, and so I know when I don't get everything off my face when I'm in the shower, and that's how I use this. And I will say multiple times, I was left with more makeup than I was expecting on my towel. I was kind of like, I really went in, I really took my time. With cleansing oils, you put them on first without water, and you really work them in and get that makeup off. And I feel like even when I would do 2 washes like that, it still, you know, was I had a little bit of makeup on. So, and I still give it a 3 though. Like, I still think it's solid enough, don't get me wrong. And I like the smell of it too. So I still had a good time using it. I'm not sure if I would repurchase this exact one, but let me know your thoughts on this and if there's anything else from the brand I should check out. Last 2 things are body washes, and I just wanted to first update you on this. I bought the Necessaire. It was like a gift set of 4 of the body washes, and I've been using the Olabanum one. And at first I was like, what is this smell? Like, what is this? And you know what I realized? This smells like fancy baby shampoo, okay? If you know, like Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo, tear-free. If you want to smell like a baby, if you like that smell, this is like the refined version of that, but it literally, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, it smells like baby shampoo. That's exactly what it is. So if you've been wanting that smell, you're gonna love this. I feel like the formula of this body wash is nice. It suds up good. It's a little bit of a clean scent for me. Like, I love it on a baby, but I don't know if it's for me. So I don't know if I'd repurchase this, but I wanted to let any of you guys know in case it was something you were interested in. That's what I'm getting from this. And I do think it'd make a good like layering component depending on what you're gonna put on body care wise and like fragrance wise after the shower. So it's solid, just not the right scent for me. And then last, this one is more of a miss. This is the almond shower oil, I think it is, from L'Occitane. They sent this to me. I feel like this is kind of a cult product, and I do think if you are wanting something that is more hydrating in the shower, if shower gels tend to dry you out or you have really dry skin, I do think a shower oil can be a great alternative where you get something a little bit more moisturizing on your skin and it's not stripping your skin. So the formula on that is nice. I do find this makes my shower a little oily, but I don't have like an oily residue on my skin. It's just more moisturized. The issue is the smell, and initially I thought I liked the smell. It's a little almond, but it's more like as it's on me, like in the shower. This isn't afterward, but it's just turned soapier and soapier, and like, oh, I do not actually like it at all. Actually, it smells like a bar soap that's gone off to me. So not a fan of this scent. And if you're looking for an alternative that I do like, the new shower oil from Sol de Janeiro, I've really been enjoying it. I actually did purchase the full size. I couldn't wait for the sale. I was like, I need that back in my life. So it's called Delicia Drench, and I would suggest that over this. I give this like a 2 just because that scent is that bad for me that it's like I don't even really want to use it up. I think I'll try to make it through this or have Sam make it through this. I think we can do that, but I'm not loving it. You know what I mean? It's not an easy use up. Well, guys, that's the wrap up. I've really been testing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, and I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on what was hits, what was misses. I feel like I had to kiss a lot of frogs. Like, there's just a lot of meh. There's a lot of stuff in the middle. A few favorites. Again, loving this lip liner from Lisa Eldridge. Really, really happy with that. I feel like these are gonna be great for spring and summer, but there's a lot you can pass on, and I hope more than anything my reviews can be helpful for you guys. If you were looking at any of these products, seeing if they're gonna be right for you or not. I'd love to know what you've been testing though. Do you have any of those 4 or 5-star products you think I should check out? What has not been working for you? That's also super helpful and good to know. I really do appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. And other than that, I'm excited for the videos to come, and I will see you in the next ones. Bye.